Good evening, ReNEWS English is on air. I'm Sona Tumanyan. This morning, the Prime Minister of the Republic, Nikol Pashinyan, announced in a Facebook post that he will deliver an address this evening. Let's watch a segment from the address.
Տան վիճակը կախված է ոչ միայն մեզնից, այլև եղանակից, կոմունալ ծառայություններից.
The state of our home depends not only on us, but also on the weather, utility services, and whether or not there is an earthquake, a storm, or a flood. The condition of our car depends not only on us, but also on the other participants in traffic and the work of the police and road builders. But none of us has the right not to take the utmost care of our child, justifying it with a lack of confidence in the educational, healthcare, or legal systems. Neglecting one's own home for any reason precludes well-being and domestic tranquility. We must overcome the grief of sacrifice with the joy of peace, because our Christian apostolic faith tells us they are not dead but are here, right now, above our heads, and are smiling at us, because that future for the Republic of Armenia has arrived, the one for which we reached an agreement in 2021, while the bodies of our martyrs were not yet cold.
Nikol Pashinyan also responded to the violations of the rules of conduct, which the Corruption Prevention Commission recorded in his speech, by apologizing while noting that he does not entirely agree with a few of the assessments.
My apology pertains to two specific statements on which the Commission has ruled. However, the goal of reaffirming the political, spiritual, and moral principles associated with them, and my will to achieve that goal with the support of the people, remain unshakable, because this is a vital necessity for the political, legal, and spiritual security of the Republic of Armenia. And on the agenda of spiritual renewal, I myself must accept my shortcomings and manage my emotions better.
Especially after the Washington meeting, the urgent resolution of the prisoner issue has garnered broad public and political attention. The Armenian Minister of Foreign Affairs reports that the issue of prisoners is a priority on the agenda in communications with the Azerbaijani side, and they hope for a positive resolution as an important step towards strengthening trust between the parties. The topic and potential solutions are also regularly discussed during engagements with international partners on both bilateral and multilateral platforms, including in discussions with representatives of the International Committee of the Red Cross, the ministry stated. Historic meetings, historic agreements, historic speeches, and today Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has arrived in Armenia for what might be a historic first official visit. Deputy Prime Minister Meher Grigoryan welcomed the President of Iran at Yerevan's Zvartnots airport. His advisor has stated that the purpose of the visit is the development of bilateral relations, especially in the sphere of trade, and the signing of a number of documents is also planned. According to the President's official website, there will be discussions on issues of possible cooperation in the fields of energy, transport, trade, investment, healthcare, the environment, science, culture, and tourism. Also on the agenda for Pezeshkian's meetings will be the recent agreement on the transport route between Armenia and Azerbaijan, with an emphasis of protecting Iran's national interests. The President of the Islamic Republic has reaffirmed Iran's commitment to expanding regional cooperation and strengthening ties with neighboring countries based on constructive interaction and mutual benefit. It should be noted that the business forum will be held in Yerevan on August 19 as part of the planned visit to Armenia by the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, from August 18 to 21. Another one has been added to Iran's active statements. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghai has declared that the railway line passing through southern Armenia, which will connect Azerbaijan with the Nakhichevan Autonomous Republic, should not harm internationally recognized borders, contradict Armenia's sovereignty, or lead to a change in the region's geopolitics.
Iran is closely monitoring the situation and, if necessary, will express its concerns to the countries of the region to prevent any extra-regional intervention that could harm the peace, stability, and security of the South Caucasus. We do not consider the presence of foreign forces to be beneficial and have expressed concerns. We have been informed that military forces will not be deployed in the region.
In a statement issued on the anniversary of the release of prisoners of war from Iraq, the General Staff of Iran's armed forces warned the US and Israel that any renewed aggression would be met with a harsher response than during the 12-day June war, cautioning that Iran is preparing surprises. The General Staff statement also said that Iran has proven that no power can speak to it in the language of force and threats, and that any repetition will lead to much more devastating and crushing strikes. Friday evenings for the past 2 weeks have been about historic meetings, with the United States of America as the stage. The meeting in Alaska may be followed by a Putin-Trump summit in Moscow. In any case, the head of the White House called the idea interesting. The Russian president spent 5 hours in a formerly Russian Alaska. The Putin-Trump meeting, held in a 3+3 format, lasted 2 hours and 45 minutes without the presence of journalists. This was followed by a 12-minute press conference where the leaders of the superpowers limited themselves to making statements. Although the meeting was in a 3+3 format, a one-on-one conversation did take place. Immediately after arriving at Elmendorf, Richardson, the president of the Russian Federation, traveled to the meeting venue in Donald Trump's limousine. The parties did not reach a final agreement, but both presidents spoke of significant progress. The American president passed a letter from his wife, Melania Trump, to his Russian counterpart. From the subtleties of protocol to Trump's interview with Fox News, David Genjoyan presents a digest of the summit titled In Pursuit of Peace and his report.
The August 15th meeting between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin in Anchorage was the first face-to-face meeting between the two leaders since the start of the Russo-Ukrainian War in 2022. The president of Russia was received at a high level, starting from the airport. Protocol officials had even synchronized the arrival of their planes. The meeting, which the entire world followed closely, has become a topic of intense discussion. Before the meeting, Trump had answered reporters' questions on the plane. When asked about his expectations, Trump replied that a ceasefire was his priority.
There's nothing set in stone. I want certain things. I want to see a ceasefire. This is not to do with Europe. Europe's not telling me what to do. But they're going to be involved in the process, obviously, as will Zelensky. But I want to see a ceasefire rapidly. I don't know if it's going to be today, but I'm not going to be happy if it's not today. Everyone said it can't be today, but I'm just saying I want the killing to stop. I'm in this to stop the killing. You know, we're not putting up any money. We're making money. They're buying our weapons, and we're sending them to NATO, and NATO's sending us big, beautiful checks. But that I don't care about that. I care about, it was a big factor when Biden spent $350 billion and got nothing. But what I do care about is they lost last week 7,011 people.
During the press conference after the closed-door meeting, the parties noted the historic significance and importance of the meeting. Trump admitted that no agreement had been reached between them. Analysts, however, are not optimistic. German political scientist Clemens Fischer believes that Ukraine was not actually the focus of the discussion and that the Anchorage meeting is unlikely to have a positive impact on Ukraine.
Ukraine was a kind of trampoline for the whole thing. They used it as a cause to meet, but Ukraine was in the center of negotiations. In the center of negotiations was a new peace deal between Russia and the US. And it was even the motto that we had seen there, pursuing peace. And for Ukraine, it was a very sad moment, because at the end of the day, Ukraine wasn't even on the table as a chance to see that they might possibly get a truce or a ceasefire. Nothing was on the table.
After the nearly 3-hour meeting, Trump revealed some details from the negotiations with Putin in an interview with Fox News.
And we agreed on a lot of points. I mean, a lot of points we're agreed on. But there's not that much. There's, you know, 1 or 2 pretty significant items, but I think they can be reached. Now it's really up to President Zelensky to get it done. And I would also say the European nations, they have to get involved a little bit.
Specialists note that the meeting did not bring significant results regarding the end of the war and that everything is still ahead. According to an Australian military expert, more in-depth issues about the conflict were discussed.
Well, I think we're effectively where we were before the summit. It doesn't look, at least on preliminary evidence, as though there's been much progress. Trump certainly talked about, many areas on which they agree, but he said ultimately there was no deal. And I think probably that's linked to Vladimir Putin saying that we need to look at the root causes of this conflict, and that's code for the kind of maximalist demands that he's articulated since the invasion in 2022.
Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
At the end of the press conference, Trump thanked Putin and expressed hope that they would meet again soon, to which Putin replied, "Next time in Moscow." While the whole world was discussing the meeting and its results, focusing on every detail, analysts tried to draw conclusions from everything that appeared in the camera's lens. They believe that the final mutual gestures are very telling and testify to possible progress in Russian-American relations. After the meeting with Trump, Putin laid flowers at the memorial for American pilots who died in World War II, then spoke to the Archbishop of the Diocese of Alaska of the Orthodox Church in America and gifted him 2 icons after kissing them, emphasizing his Christian faith, to which Trump attaches key importance. And upon his return home from the U.S., the Russian president's plane was escorted by American F-22 fighters as an aerial honor guard. David Genjoyan, ReOpen Media.
Last week, Alaska was the center of the universe, and today Washington has become the political stage for the next phase in resolving the Russian-Ukrainian war. The meeting between the President of the Ukraine and the United States is scheduled for 9:15 p.m. Yerevan time in the Oval Office. At 11 p.m., they will be joined by the leaders of key European countries, the European Union, and NATO. Perhaps their very presence will help avoid another Trump-Zelensky clash.
After the Trump-Putin meeting, Russian forces have continued to carry out strikes against Ukraine. Overnight, a missile attack on Kharkiv killed 3 people and injured 2 dozen. Ukrainian media report that Russian forces struck all 17 storage tanks of the Azerbaijani company Sokar in Odessa with Shahed drones. Russia's Federal Security Service announced that it had prevented a terrorist attack on the Crimean Bridge, which, according to the agency, was planned by Ukrainian special services using a vehicle loaded with explosives. Ukraine needs real negotiations, and they can begin along the current front lines, stated Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky during a joint press conference with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Zelensky also insisted that Russia is not succeeding in the Donetsk region and that in 12 years, Putin has not been able to capture it. He once again emphasized that the country's constitution makes the surrender of territories impossible. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has stated that for a peaceful settlement of the war in Ukraine, both sides must make concessions, as without it, only capitulation is possible, which the parties are not ready for. He noted that the Putin-Trump talks in Alaska led to some agreement, but disagreements still remain. According to Rubio, they are still far from a peace agreement, but there is progress, and if there is no agreement, there will be consequences. He emphasized that efforts to achieve peace could prevent those consequences, leading to a cessation of military operations. French President Emmanuel Macron has stated that the talks in Washington between Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky are aimed at demonstrating a united front by Ukraine and its European allies against Russia. He emphasized that showing weakness towards Russia could become the basis for future conflicts. Kyiv's allies are seeking a lasting peace and the preservation of Ukraine's integrity, which was discussed at Sunday's meeting of the Coalition of the Willing. Zelensky visited Brussels on August 17th to meet with European leaders, and on Monday they will join him for talks with Trump at the White House. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen announced on Sunday that she, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and other European leaders will travel to Washington on Monday for a meeting with Trump. Von der Leyen noted that territorial decisions must be made by Ukraine, and the European Union will continue to support Ukraine until a just and lasting peace is established, while maintaining diplomatic and economic pressure on Russia. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, French President Emmanuel Macron, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Finnish President Stubb, and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte will also join the talks to discuss security guarantees for Ukraine and territorial issues. According to updated data, a fire that broke out Friday morning at an enterprise in the Shilovsky district of Russia's Ryazan region has killed 14 people and injured 149. Rescue operations are ongoing in the village of Lesnoy, where Ministry of Emergency Services employees are clearing rubble and supporting the victims' families. Psychologists and specialists are working at the scene in cooperation with law enforcement and the regional government. A criminal case has been opened on charges of industrial safety violations. An oil depot has caught fire in the capital of Iran. Huge columns of black smoke are rising over Tehran, with the fire periodically flaring up with new intensity. Official sources have not yet stated the exact causes of the incident. Some observers are even suggesting sabotage by Israel, while other experts point to the poor condition of the country's energy infrastructure. Due to years of sanctions, a significant portion of the equipment has been left without proper maintenance and modernization. As a result of a shooting at a nightclub in Brooklyn's Crown Heights neighborhood, 3 young people were killed and 9 others were injured. The New York Police Department has reported that the incident, involving 4 shooters, occurred after a dispute and 42 shell casings were found at the scene. The suspects are still being sought, and police are urging the public to provide any information about the shooters. David Genjuan, ReOpen Media.
Following the strikes by Russian missile forces on Sokar facilities in Ukraine, Baku may deploy a Turkish military base on its territory to deter the Kremlin. Publications with such and even more threatening headlines have appeared in the Azerbaijani segment of social media after Russian drones attacked a Sokar gas station in Odessa last night. The latest strike, according to Ukrainian and Azerbaijani sources, was the second massive attack on the same facility, which destroyed the station almost completely. Baku's Telegram channels, which are close to official circles, are already calling Russia fascist and an occupier. They are threatening that Azerbaijan will soon start directly supplying weapons to Ukraine, but at the same time they are expressing concern that Moscow might then resort to direct strikes against Azerbaijan. Hence, the authors of these publications are putting toward the thesis of the necessity for a military base from brotherly Turkey, stressing that they see this as the way to deter the Kremlin. Before the Armenia-Portugal match, there is other quite noteworthy football news. The English club Southampton has increased its offer for Eduard Spertian, the midfielder for Russian champions Krasnodar and the Armenian national team, by $3 million, bringing it to $14 million. The head coach of the English club is interested in the services of our national team's key player. Transfer Market estimates Spertian's transfer value at €25 million. The 25-year-old footballer had a brilliant performance yesterday against Sochi, scoring 2 goals and providing 1 assist to secure a landslide victory for Krasnodar. However, the player is also on the radar of Portugal's Porto and France's Lens, so Spertian is not making any hasty decisions yet. With gratitude for the abundant harvest and with faith, the Holy Armenian Apostolic Church celebrated the feast of the Assumption of the Mother of God yesterday. Our team has summarized yesterday's celebration in a single video.
On Sunday, the Armenian Apostolic Church celebrated one of its 5 major feasts, the Feast of the Assumption of the Holy Mother of God, or as the people call it, the Blessing of the Grapes, Kago Ornek. In the morning, a divine liturgy was celebrated in the churches. The Blessing of the Grapes is the only one of the major feasts dedicated to Mary, the Mother of God, rather than to Christ.
The apostles received their love for Christ from the Mother of God.
After the divine liturgy, the blessed grapes were distributed to the people. Grapes are the specific fruit chosen for blessing because, as it is said in the Holy Scripture, the Lord elevated the grapevine above all other trees and honored it more than other plants, calling himself the grapevine. The faithful know the meaning of the feast well.
Before the Assumption of the Mother of God was simply associated with the fast of grapes. Just as people fast from apples before Vardavar, they would fast from grapes before the grape blessing, as the Son of God has been associated with the cluster of grapes.
Ararat Tovamasian, a server at St. Georg Church, says that in recent years many young people have been attending the liturgies.
I am very happy because even though there are young people who may not understand, or even a child who goes up to the altar, it's so good that the idea of being a Christian and understanding Christianity is instilled in them from childhood.
I've been working here since 2008. Gradually, the flow of people coming to church is increasing. It wasn't this much before. Now there are many, many more.
The faithful take the blessed grapes to their homes as a symbol of God's blessing and the mystery of faith.
Today is an important day, especially for mothers. She is a mother, she will understand well. May grace, love, hope, and her intercession be with all of us.
Anna Harutunyan, ReOpen Media.
For more updates, follow us on YouTube, Telegram, Instagram, X, and Facebook. Daily news and full coverage are available on our official website. I am Sona Tumanyan, stay informed with ReNews. Good night.